Hello there. I am pleased to report my plan for this week has turned out. Looking at my sleep logs, I was up at 6 o'clock every day since I've started this. Yay for that. Now, you may recall the other part of the goal was to sleep for about 8 hours a night. And I've struggled more on that aspect of the goal than on the waking up. The first night, 10 o'clock just snuck up on me, and I had a few things left to take care of, and so I didn't get to bed until about 10:40. I got better throughout the week, but still haven't been to sleep at 10 o'clock or a little bit before. Say the average is between, say, 10 and 11, though one night does stick out. It would be Thursday night. Thursday night, I managed to be in bed before 11, but was not able to fall asleep before 11, like the other nights. I was up until about 1 o'clock that night, a little after 1. And I believe I can blame that on the nap I took that day. Now, normally I limit naps to about 15 minutes. But Thursday, I ended up stringing 4 of them together for about an hour's nap. Now, this was earlier in the morning, 10:15 or so. I had hoped it wouldn't disrupt my night too much, but it did. And let's talk about why it did. So, our understanding of sleep relies on Borbley's, I'd say it was published in 1982 or so, but his two-process model of sleep. So you have a C process and an S process. Your C process is a circadian process. It's programmed by the environment, so the light you have around you influences your circadian rhythm, that first aspect of this process. There have been some really cool research by people like Michael Sifry, who's a geologist who isolated himself underground working in his discipline in geology, exploring caves, where he had no external time cues. He had lights, but he would turn them on and turn them off, and he had a little phone connected to a base camp above ground, and he would call them to say, "I've woken up." Call them again, "I'm going to sleep now." And you'd see that without any external cues, he was on his sleep schedule drifted. So sometimes he'd be up for 24-hour days, like we have, though there are instances where he had, say, a 36-hour day or a 48-hour day, so where he'd be up for, 30 hours and then sleep for the next 10 or something like that. It's really cool research. You should look at it if that's something that piques your interest. But that circadian process is largely determined by our environment. So we have a 24-hour day on Earth, and that's why we have a 24-hour sleep cycle. It's being programmed by the sun, and that's why light disrupts it so much. If we look the left and the right by different lights, those are sending information to my brain that says, hold off on producing melatonin, the light's away, the light's out, you need to be awake right now. That's why cell phones and technology right before bed can be so dangerous for your sleep. All right, so that's the circadian process, our C process. The other process is the S process, or our sleepiness process. So Borbley likened this to, say, a valve, a pressure release valve, where during the day you have a sleepiness pressure that builds up. So it starts out way down low, and then it rises throughout the day. So the longer you've been awake, the sleepier you are. I'd imagine it's some sort of linear relationship between time and sleepiness. Now, once you hit a certain pressure, the valve opens and you fall asleep. As you're asleep, the pressure decreases to the point where you wake up. Now, there's some sort of complex interaction between the CNS processes. And so when you're being stimulated by light right before bed, your C process is pretty high. It's saying, well, it's still daytime, we should still be awake. So your sleepiness has to come up even higher to exceed it, and then you fall asleep, and your sleepiness pressure decreases. Whereas if you take out, let's say, with lights on here, with your cell phone on, your circadian process is here, but as, let's say, an hour before bed, you put it away, your body starts to adjust, and it moves down to here. That's your circadian process. And so your sleepiness process doesn't have to come up as high to exceed it. If it were up here with all the technology, you still wouldn't be asleep. But because it's down here, by bringing the light down, you don't have to be as sleepy to have the sleepiness process overcome the circadian process, allowing you to sleep. And so the interaction of those two is at least part of why I struggled to sleep on Thursday. By taking that hour-long nap, or the 4 15-minute naps back to back, I reduced my sleepiness pressure. It decreased over that hour I was asleep, meaning that it took longer for it to build back up to hit my circadian level, exceed it, and then fall asleep. There's potentially something I could have done with light manipulation, cutting out light earlier in the day to compensate for the nap, but I'm not aware of the research on how much of an effect you can have by playing around with the two. So I'll leave that up to you to find out. Well, so there you go. First week, pretty good. I'm going to try to do a little better this next week. Same plan though, still a 6 a.m. wake up. I think it's been good for me to wake up at 6. I'm certainly more productive now. I'm able to achieve more in my day. And despite having less sleep on average, say 7 hours of sleep on average instead of say 8.5 from before, I am feeling better. So I've never really seen any research as to how you feel on time you wake up, but I know I feel better when I wake up earlier, even though it is difficult at times. So there you have it. Hopefully this information about your 2 processes of sleep can help you understand how you can fall asleep better at night. And until next time, cheers.